The sequel no one saw coming just got real. Adam Sandler confirmed that Happy Gilmore 2 is officially in the works, sending shockwaves through fans of the 1996 cult sports comedy. The announcement came not from studio press release, but from actor Christopher McDonald, who played villain shooter McGavin, during a radio appearance that quickly went viral. Within hours, Sandler himself backed it up. The script is finished, and it's moving ahead with Netflix. What began as an offhand comment spiraled into a full-blown media storm. Search traffic for Happy Gilmore spiked globally, and Gen Z fans, many of whom weren't even born when the original released, started flooding TikTok with reenactments and mashups. Even PGA pros chimed in on social media, quoting lines from the original and speculating who might cameo in the new film. The original Happy Gilmore wasn't just a comedy. It spoofed the stiffness of golf, blended sports with absurdist humor, and created a folk hero and a failed hockey player with a monstrous drive. The sequel, reportedly set 2 decades later, will show Happy confronting the game again, this time as a mentor, possibly even a golf course owner. This sudden announcement has thrown a spotlight on the Sandler cinematic universe, just as Netflix ramps up its nostalgia-heavy strategy. With sports comedies struggling to find relevance in the streaming age, this revival is more than just a throwback. It's a high-stakes gamble on whether old-school absurdity still resonates. Happy Gilmore may have started as a punchline, but it ended up shaping an entire generation's idea of sports films. Released in 1996, it was one of Sandler's earliest solo hits after Billy Madison. Over time, its cult status grew, buoyed by meme culture, cable reruns, and its anti-establishment tone. In many ways, Happy Gilmore was an early example of the sports underdog trope made ridiculous and proud of it. More importantly, it gave golf, one of the most conservative, elitist sports, a jolt of irreverent energy. The idea of a hockey goon tearing up the green, getting into fights with Bob Barker, and yelling at his golf ball became cultural shorthand. It made golf briefly cool for kids. It inspired Halloween costumes, real-life swings, and even golf course promotions. Now, with Sandler in his late 50s and the original audience well into adulthood, the sequel hits a different note. It's not about rebellion anymore. It's about legacy. What happens when the wild outsider becomes the old guard? The opportunity for self-aware commentary is massive. Think Creed, but unhinged. There's also a business reason for this revival. Comedy in Hollywood is increasingly fragmented. Big-screen comedies rarely work anymore, unless there's pre-existing IP. With studios desperate for bankable nostalgia, Happy Gilmore 2 becomes a strategic play. Sandler's long-term Netflix deal gives him the freedom to revisit older characters, and for Netflix, this is another algorithm-friendly property likely to trend on day one. The online response was swift and deeply emotional. TikTok flooded with first swing recreations, fans quoting the "it's all in the hips" line, and full-on montages of Shooter McGavin memes. Sports personalities jumped in too. PGA Tour golfer Max Homa joked he was ready for a Shooter redemption arc, while ESPN ran a full retrospective on golf movies just hours after the announcement. But what stood out most was how many people connected the sequel to personal memories. Comment sections filled with stories of watching the original with siblings, bonding with parents over the ridiculous humor, or mimicking Happy's swing at driving ranges. Happy Gilmore wasn't just a movie, it was a shared rite of passage for 90s and early 2000s kids. Even celebrities got sentimental. Drew Barrymore said on her talk show that she kinda teared up thinking of Sandler returning to his roots. And Carl Weathers, who played Chubbs, trended posthumously as fans remembered his character's mentor role. It's clear, this sequel isn't just about laughs. It's about revisiting something that, for many, represents childhood. There's also intrigue around casting. Will new characters parody today's influencers or hyper-fit pro golfers? Will we see cameos from actual players like Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods? Speculation is driving the hype engine, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. This isn't just another sequel. It's a major litmus test. Can nostalgia-based comedy survive the new streaming world? Can Adam Sandler recapture the chaotic energy of the original without making it feel dated or try-hard? Netflix is betting big that he can. Production timelines haven't been formally announced, but insiders suggest filming could begin as early as late 2025, with a potential release in 2026, exactly 30 years after the original. The timing isn't accidental. Hollywood loves anniversaries, and this one is ripe for cross-platform celebration. Merch, retrospectives, even possible pop-ups at real golf courses. What we know so far is that the script leans heavily into generational contrast. Happy is older, maybe slower, but still retains his fire. The villain? Rumors point to a social media, savvy golf prodigy, or a corporate takeover of his golf course. If done right, this could be part parody, part eulogy, and part reintroduction. There's also potential for a Sandlerverse, with characters from Billy Madison, The Waterboy, and Big Daddy being referenced across social media. Some fans are hoping for crossover appearances. It sounds absurd, until you remember this is the man who made a 3-minute Bob Barker fight scene an all-time classic. For all its chaos, Happy Gilmore endures because it never tried to be cool. It just was. It laughed at golf's pretense and machismo at itself. It was slapstick without shame, emotion without earnestness. And somehow, 30 years later, it still works. This sequel is more than just a cash-in. It's a reflection of a shifting cultural mood, one where audiences are craving familiar characters, but only if they evolve. For Sandler, it's a chance to reframe his legacy not just as a comedy star, but as a storyteller who shaped how millions laughed. It's also a rare opportunity for comedy to do what drama often does, speak across time. If Happy Gilmore 2 can land its tone, funny but not desperate, nostalgic but not stuck, it might prove that absurd comedy can grow up without selling out. That even a golf swing that started as a joke can carry emotional weight 3 decades later. One thing is certain, when Happy Gilmore 2 finally drops, it won't just be a movie night. It'll be a cultural flashpoint, a reunion, and maybe even, if Sandler pulls it off, a little bit of magic.